Welcome back to the Malibu Performance YouTube channel. Let me show you a trick here. I can see my reflection in the TV. So that's how I know I'm pressing the button when you guys get the face shot. Pretty nifty. So I'm out in the garage today. Haven't put up a video on this channel for a little bit, I think. I think it's been a little while. But for you guys that know the Malibu, my 79 Malibu, Project Malicious, airbagged, LS swapped, stereo, lace frame on 20 and 22s. It's a great car, love it, but it's one of those vehicles where I just did too much to it. I should have kept it simple. For somebody who likes the, the KISS method, I went a little overboard on this car, which I don't know why I do that with my projects. I think if I kept them a lot more simple, I'd enjoy them a lot more. But I think I just enjoy working on a lot of stuff. And then when you only got one project to work on, that project morphs into, it's like a chameleon, It's got several different faces. And this car's just got way too much going on for me. So I decided to start taking the airbag suspension off the car, which I love airbags, but I'm getting too old to walk. And if something happens to this car, if an airline busts or a bag rubs, and anybody that's had air suspension, we've all had those issues. I was driving down the highway one time and a bag bust in the front end of my truck, just straight down on the highway at 75 mile an hour. And when your front end's laying on the ground and your tires are tucked up in the fenders, there's only one way to go, and that's straight. So it's kind of hard to get the truck off the road when you're implanting the front end in the concrete at 75 mile an hour. So it was not good. I don't take this car out on the highway. It will probably never make it on the highway. But what I've been doing with this car is just kind of slowly backpedaling. I'm old now, and I started this project about 15 or 16 years ago. And, the 32-year-old me or 31-year-old me is a lot different than 45-year-old me right now. So I'm trying to make this car a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier to drive. I'm starting to come into that old man money, so I always call it old man money. Never could understand how those old guys could have such expensive cars at car shows. And yeah, I'm starting to see how now. So here's my, I've already got one side on over there. I'll show it to you here in a second. I'll show you a problem I've run into also. So this is a all-Dan suspension. These are the 450-pound springs. From everything I've read, the 450 is about medium. Anything over this, I think, is going to be way too stiff for this car. Plus, with me running 20s on the front and those little Band-Aid tires, it's going to be kind of a rough ride anyway. I don't expect luxury out of this, but I want to have at least a little bit. I mean, the air ride is pillowy soft, so this is going to be probably a little bit beating my teeth in now. But I got this all lubed up. Anybody that's ever used anti-seize, you end up wearing most of it. I've had 2 pairs of gloves on and I'm still getting it on me. I got my little clicker right here. Got my bolts ready. Got my caffeine. Let me show you guys. God, the garage is a mess. I need to clean it. So this first side I got done pretty easily. I've already moved the light, but you guys can tell. So the Malibu's got 6 piston wheel woods. Totally overkill for this car. Do not need them. But, who the fuck doesn't want these? These are awesome. So this side is done. I got this on number 4 setting. I'll start there and go up or down depending on what I need. I'll have to retorque this and retorque these on the bottom that hold it in place when I'm done. Factory sway bar, which eventually one day I think I'm going to upgrade that sway bar. And I had to use these with the airbag setup. These right here, they space your tie rod down, because when this is airbagged and it comes up so far, your tie rod goes this way. And what it does is that it hits the bottom of the frame. And you can't, with this car laid down in 20s on the front, this, technically, it would come through about right here. This is about where it would come through. So the only other way to do is to space this down. So when you're at ride height, the problem is that with this space down, you get a lot of bump steer. These are for circle track cars, and they're made for lots of adjustment up and down, depending on, you know, your track conditions and all that kind of stuff. Well, they work good if you want to space down your tie rod ends for stupid stuff like this, airbags and stuff. But the issue you run into is that you get a lot more bump steer. These cars already have a decent amount of bump steer. 2-inch drop spindles from a Blazer. UMI lowers. I want you guys to pay attention to this right here. This is the sway bar link for the suspension. Okay? Goes through here. Got this big gnarly bolt here. I got polyurethane bushings, of course. These are upper tubulars. You can get these for stock cars. My boot's blowed out, I know. I just found that out when I started pulling everything apart. I'll get another boot for it, but I'll just hit it with some grease before then just to make sure everything stays lubed. And let me show you what I ran into. My issue. Never in a million years. I always told people this car was a little sketchy when you drove it down the road. I said it wanders. You know, the problem with the car like this is that you'll never have a perfect alignment because your suspension, you can set it to where you like it, and that's where you drive it, and your suspension is fine. But as it travels through that arc, there's so much suspension travel with airbags and stuff, your tires start getting pulled in and out, and then you get that loosey-goosey on the road. And so what I didn't know is that when I was tearing this apart, oh, jeez. Let's see if I can get you guys in here. See my issue right here? This is why I said pay attention. This is my sway bar end link. This goes right here, like this. So this was just stuck inside the bushing. This was just stuck in the bushing, between the bushings. So when you looked in there, it was stuck. It looked like it was attached. But come to find out, it was not attached. Look how bent that bolt is. Look at that. That bolt is bent, and that is broke. So the sway bar was not attached on this side. So there's a reason why it was a little loosey-goosey. I wish I would have known that before I went through buying coilovers and stuff. Didn't know it until I pulled that sway bar loose, and it just popped up. I mean, this thing was just stuck between the bushings, and when you looked in there, all you seen was this stuck between the bushings, and I didn't even know. And then when I took it apart, boop, it just falls apart. So I'm about to break out the welder, and I think I'm going to re-weld this on there, strengthen it up a little bit. I mean, these lower control arms aren't made for bag vehicles. They're made for drag vehicles. I mean, I paid like $500 for them. They're good. UMI is great. Great stuff. Great products. I've never had an issue with UMI. This is the first thing that's ever broke, but this is totally my fault. I will not have them taking blame for anything that stupid that I did. And this is something stupid that I did, so. But I'll get this apart. I'll get this cleaned up. I'll get the airbag out of here. And put this other side on. Get the car back on the ground. And you'd think those Aldans would come with a adjustment tool. But it did not. So I'm going to have to get me one of those adjustment tools. I set them at the lowest setting because I wasn't sure. I want this car about 3 inches. Ride height, I want about 3 to 4 inches off the ground. And if it's going to be a little bit stiffer, then I'm not really worried about how low it is. I don't want it like scraping ground. We ain't doing no cambered Honda. You know, we ain't doing that crap. We're not going to take a running start to get into places just for it to drag everything on the bottom. I'm not doing it. The airbags are still going to be on the back of this car. I'm still going to leave them on the back for now. The back of the car is a triangulated 4-link that I made, and the airbags sit on the top 4-link bars. So I either have to, I might take the bags that come off the front of this and put it on the back is what I'm thinking. Because the bags on the back of this car, and I am not joking, they're Firestone 2600s. And I believe they're about 23 or 24 years old. It's, whew, I had them when I bought my 97 GMC Sonoma, and I think I bagged it in like 99 or 2000 is when I bagged it. I took that brand new truck and I cut it to pieces. And one of the things was I had bagged it, I think in 2000. So it might have been about 22 years ago. And those were the airbags that was on the back of my Sonoma back in the day. And to this day, I'm still using them. So, I mean, I can't say nothing bad about them. Man, they just awesome. I think the only thing, they're probably dry rotting by now. But the fronts are Slam Specialties RE7s. Those are really good bags. I paid out the ass for those back in the day, too. Those would get probably recycled to the back of this car. And eventually, maybe one day, I'll, maybe, I don't know, this year, next year. I do things in years, not in months. I do things in years on this car. So this car might end up eventually getting a coil. I'll figure out like a coil bracket or something for the back of this car. And I'll end up putting coilovers in the back too. Because I'd like to be able to just drive this car wherever I want. And sometimes with the cars airbagged out like this, it makes it very hard to take it places. Because if you get stuck, man, you're stuck. You get an airline that pops and it lays on the ground. Then you're fighting to get a jack underneath it. And you can't get a jack underneath it. So you got to like jack it. The good thing about these cars is that you can literally jack them up off the bumper. Because they were made from the factory to jack up from the bumper. That's how they were made to change a tire. So you can get a jack underneath the bumper. Then you can slide something underneath the car. Then you can take the jack and put the jack underneath the car. Trust me, I've had to do this before. And it sucks. So, yeah, there's my little issue I've ran into. This little puppy right here. Never would have expected that. I'll get the rest of this pulled apart. I'll get the suspension changed over. I'll put the tires back on it. We'll see where it sits. I hope I'm not too far off because I don't have an adjustment tool for those springs. And then I got to figure out how to get this bent grade 8 bolt out of here. Out of that sleeve before I can even slide it out of there. And then I'll have to get another bolt. Because I had to do that because of how the sway bar was when it was laid all the way out. The sway bar was just at an awkward position. So maybe I'll get some shorter bolts or something to put in there. Because if this car's sitting static, it's not going to have half the travel it used to. Which is fine with me. So, alright guys. I'm going to take a break. Grab a snack. And you guys have a good day.